Ethan Cole never believed in luck. He was a mechanic, a scavenger who spent most of his days fixing broken ships for a few credits. The galaxy was full of riches, but none of them ever reached people like him. One day, everything changed. It began with an old auction list. On the screen in front of him, a small item blinked. Hangar 17B abandoned. Starting bid, $1. Most buyers laughed at it. Who would want a ruined hangar on a forgotten asteroid? To them, it was worthless junk. But Ethan's eyes narrowed. Something about the listing felt strange. Why sell a massive hangar for only $1? He clicked the bid. Nobody else cared. The auction ended in seconds. The hangar was his, for $1. 2 days later, Ethan's ship landed on the dusty asteroid. The hangar stood in silence, its massive doors rusted and half buried under rock. Faded alien symbols were carved above the entry, long unreadable. "This place is dead," his friend Marcus muttered over the comms. Marcus was a trader who had joined him out of curiosity. "You wasted $1. Ethan smirked. "It's the best dollar I ever spent. Let's see what's inside." They powered up the hangar doors. With a grinding scream, the rusted metal lifted. Dust and shadows spilled out, and then they saw it. Inside the hangar rested a warship. At first glance, it was nothing more than junk. Its hull was cracked, its engines ripped apart, and layers of dust covered every surface. Broken wires dangled like dead vines. The ship looked like it had been dead for thousands of years. Marcus laughed. "Congratulations, Ethan, you bought garbage." But Ethan's heart beat faster. He walked closer, brushing dust off the ancient steel. The design was nothing like human ships. It was older, sharper, almost alive in its curves. "This is not junk," Ethan whispered. "This is history." As he explored, the silence of the hangar pressed down on him. Every step echoed like thunder. He touched the hull again, and for a brief second he thought he felt a vibration. Almost like a heartbeat. He shook the thought away. "It's just old metal," he told himself. But the feeling stayed. At the far corner of the hangar, Marcus found a strange console. It was still glowing faintly after all these years. Symbols flickered across it, alien letters no one had read in centuries. "Creepy," Marcus muttered. "Let's get out of here. I don't like this." But Ethan could not look away. Something inside him felt pulled toward the ship. It was as if the ship was watching him. He stepped onto the boarding ramp. The metal groaned, dust falling away as if the ship was waking from a long sleep. And then it happened. The hangar lights flickered on. A deep hum filled the air, shaking the ground. The console glowed brighter, and from the shadows above a shape moved. At first Ethan thought it was machinery, but then the shape unfolded like a beast stretching its limbs. It was not part of the ship. It was guarding it. A massive construct dropped from the ceiling, its body made of black steel and glowing eyes. Long blades folded from its arms, and its head turned toward Ethan. The warship might have been junk, but what guarded it was alive. Marcus stumbled back. "What the hell is that?" The Guardian's voice echoed through the hangar, a low metallic growl. The alien words were ancient, but somehow Ethan understood them. "Unauthorized presence detected. Leave or be destroyed." Ethan froze. His heart raced. The Guardian took a step forward, the floor trembling under its weight. Marcus panicked. "Run, Ethan, run!" But Ethan could not move. His eyes stayed locked on the warship. Why would an ancient Guardian still protect a broken ship? If it was worthless, why had this monster been waiting all this time? The ship was not junk. It was something more, and Ethan had just bought its secret for $1. The Guardian raised its blade. Sparks crackled in the air. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt true fear. But at the same time, deep inside, something told him he was not standing in front of junk. He was standing in front of a story the galaxy had tried to forget. The hangar echoed with the sound of the Guardian's voice again. "Leave or face death." Ethan took a slow breath. He had no weapon, no plan, no idea what he had stepped into, but one thing was clear: this hangar was never meant to be sold. This warship was never meant to be found, and what guarded it was far more terrifying than anything he had ever seen. The Guardian's blade gleamed in the dim hangar light. Sparks of blue energy flickered across its surface, humming with lethal power. Ethan stood frozen on the ramp of the warship, his pulse pounding like a drum inside his chest. Marcus had already scrambled for the exit, shouting, "Ethan, what are you doing?" "Move," but Ethan could not move. His eyes stayed locked on the construct. Its body was a perfect machine of war, tall, armored, with no weakness he could see. It looked like it had been waiting for centuries. And now it was awake again. The Guardian raised its head. Its glowing eyes scanned Ethan from head to toe. Then its voice thundered through the hangar. "State your designation." The words came in alien tongue, but somehow Ethan understood. It was not just sound. It was inside his head. He swallowed hard. I'm nobody. I bought this hangar." The Guardian tilted its head, almost confused. For a long, tense second it did not strike. Then it spoke again. "This vessel is property of the Eternal Fleet. Access forbidden. Leave now. Eternal Fleet." The words made Ethan's blood run cold. He had read about them only in old stories, a legendary armada that ruled the stars long before humans ever left Earth. They had vanished ages ago, wiped out by their own wars. At least that's what history claimed. But if this ship was part of that fleet, then history had lied. Marcus's voice broke through the silence. "Ethan, don't argue with it. Let's get the hell out of here." But Ethan's curiosity burned stronger than his fear. He stepped closer to the warship, ignoring the warning. "Why protect a dead ship?" he asked the Guardian. "It's broken. It doesn't even fly." The Guardian's eyes flared. For the first time, its voice sounded almost angry. "This vessel is not dead. It sleeps." The word sent a chill down Ethan's spine. He turned toward the massive hull. Dust covered it, cracks split its sides, but now he wasn't so sure it was junk. Something stirred deep within the ship. A faint vibration hummed under his feet, like a whisper from the past. Suddenly, the Guardian moved. Its blade sliced through the air, fast as lightning. Ethan stumbled back just in time. The weapon cut a deep scar across the ramp where he had been standing. Marcus screamed from the doorway. "Run, it's going to kill you!" But then, just as quickly as it had struck, the Guardian stopped. Its glowing eyes dimmed slightly. It lowered its blade but did not step aside. It was testing him. Ethan realized the truth. The Guardian wasn't just here to destroy intruders. It was here to judge them. He raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "I don't want to steal it. I just want to know what it is." The Guardian tilted its head again. For the first time, Ethan thought he saw hesitation in the machine's posture. Its voice came softer, though still echoing in his skull. "Curiosity still exists among the young, perhaps. You are different." Before Ethan could respond, the ship itself reacted. The console Marcus had touched earlier lit up with bright symbols. A low hum filled the hangar, deeper and stronger than before. The warship was waking. Panels shifted along its hull. Lights that had been dark for centuries blinked back to life. The hangar shook as old engines whispered a ghostly breath. Marcus stumbled backward. "Oh no, Ethan. This thing is alive." The Guardian turned sharply as if alarmed. Its glowing eyes flickered red. "Stabilization incomplete. Unauthorized awakening. Interference detected." Ethan's heart pounded harder. He hadn't done anything, but the ship itself was responding to him. It was as if it had chosen to recognize his presence. "Why me?" Ethan whispered. "What do you want from me?" The Guardian took a step closer, lowering its blade. For the first time, it spoke not as a machine, but almost like a teacher. "This vessel holds what must never be unleashed. For 10,000 years I have guarded it. Intruders come, intruders die. But you," its glowing eyes narrowed, "you awaken it without command. That has not happened since the war." Ethan's mind spun. 10,000 years? A war that wiped out the Eternal Fleet? And now somehow he had reactivated their relic? Marcus shouted again, panicked. "Ethan, this is insane. Let's leave before it kills us both." But Ethan shook his head. He couldn't walk away now, not when he was standing on the edge of history. The warship groaned as another wave of energy rippled across its hull. For a second, Ethan saw strange shadows move along its surface, like ghosts of the past etched into steel. He wasn't looking at just a broken warship. He was looking at a grave, a memory, and maybe even a weapon, and whatever it guarded inside was still alive. The Guardian's final words sealed it. "If you continue, human, you accept the burden of the Eternal Fleet. What is inside must never fall into the galaxy's hands again." Ethan's hands trembled, but his voice was steady. "Show me. I need to know." The Guardian's glowing eyes flared brighter than ever. The hangar shook again. Somewhere deep inside the ship, something unlocked with a sound like 1,000 chains breaking. Marcus's terrified whisper echoed in the silence. "You just doomed us all." The sound of chains breaking echoed through the hangar. The ancient warship trembled, dust falling from its hull as hidden panels shifted. The silence that had lasted for thousands of years was gone. Ethan's breath caught. He stepped back as the ground beneath him vibrated. The alien console flared to life, glowing symbols scrolling faster than his eyes could follow. Marcus shouted over the rumble, "Ethan, stop this! Whatever you did, you woke it up." But Ethan hadn't touched anything. The ship had reacted to him on its own. It was as if it recognized him. The Guardian's eyes blazed with red light. Its deep metallic voice filled the air. "Containment breach. Unauthorized awakening. Protocol 9 engaged." It raised its blades again, stepping closer to Ethan. "Wait!" Ethan cried out. "I didn't mean to." The Guardian struck. The blade came down with deadly speed. Ethan leapt aside, rolling across the ramp. Sparks exploded where the weapon sliced the metal. Marcus screamed from the doorway. "Run, Ethan. You can't fight that thing." But before the Guardian could strike again, the warship itself reacted. A surge of blue light burst from its hull, forming a shimmering barrier between Ethan and the machine. The Guardian staggered back as if struck. The voice of the ship filled the hangar. Not words, not sound, but something Ethan felt inside his mind. "You are chosen." Ethan froze, eyes wide. "Chosen by what?" The Guardian roared, swinging its blade against the barrier. Sparks flew. The barrier flickered but held. "You cannot interfere," the Guardian thundered. "The Eternal Fleet ordered this vessel sealed. It must never wake again." The ship's voice pressed harder into Ethan's mind. "Enter. Claim the burden." The boarding ramp groaned, lowering deeper into the ship. Dust poured off it like smoke. The interior glowed with faint pulsing lights. Ethan stared. The ship was inviting him inside. Marcus's voice cracked in fear. "Don't you dare, Ethan. That thing wants to kill you and the ship. The ship wants something worse. Leave it." But Ethan's curiosity overpowered his fear. His entire life, he had been surrounded by broken machines, dead ships, scraps of history. And now, he was standing at the door of something alive, something powerful, something forbidden. He stepped forward. The Guardian slammed its blade against the barrier again. "Stop! He is not worthy!" The ship's energy flared, pushing the Guardian back. The barrier bent but didn't break. Ethan climbed into the warship. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. Long corridors stretched into the darkness, lined with alien markings glowing faintly on the walls. Strange tubes pulsed with light, like veins carrying blood. The ship felt less like metal and more like a sleeping creature. Each step echoed. Ethan's hand brushed against the walls and they responded with a soft hum. He whispered, "You're not dead, are you? You've been waiting." And the ship answered inside his head, "For the one who hears, for the one who remembers." Ethan shivered. He had no idea what it meant, but the words carried weight, like the voice of a ghost. As he moved deeper, he entered a chamber at the heart of the ship. There, a massive stasis pod stood surrounded by glowing cables. Inside the pod was something he could not fully see. A dark shape, humanoid yet alien, suspended in blue light. His chest tightened. What are you?" The ship whispered again. "The last weapon, the last memory." The pod hissed softly, as though it was preparing to open. Behind him, Marcus's voice echoed through the corridor. He had followed, his face pale with fear. "Ethan, no. Whatever's in there was locked away for a reason." Ethan stared at the pod, torn between fear and curiosity. He could feel its energy calling to him. Suddenly the ship shook violently. An explosion rocked the hangar outside. The Guardian's voice thundered, "Intruders detected." "Eliminate all." Ethan's eyes widened. "Intruders." Marcus cursed. "We weren't the only ones who heard about this hangar. Someone else is here." Through the walls of the ship, Ethan heard the faint echo of weapons fire. Aliens, scavengers, or maybe something worse, had entered the hangar. They wanted the ship too. The Guardian, furious and unchained, turned its wrath upon them. Screams and blasts echoed outside, but Ethan knew the Guardian wasn't protecting them. It was protecting the secret. The ship whispered one last time, "Choose." Unlock the burden, or leave and let them claim it. Ethan's hand hovered over the stasis pod controls. Marcus grabbed his arm. Don't. You have no idea what's inside. Ethan's heart pounded. The warship was alive, the Guardian was killing intruders, and the galaxy outside was already hungry for whatever this secret was. He had seconds to decide, and with trembling fingers, he touched the control. The pod began to open. The stasis pod hissed as ancient locks disengaged. Cold mist poured out, spilling across the chamber floor like ghostly smoke. Ethan stepped back, his heart hammering in his chest. Marcus clutched his arm, eyes wide with fear. Ethan, stop this. Whatever is inside it was sealed away for a reason. But the pod was already opening. A low hum filled the ship deeper than before. The walls glowed brighter, as if the entire vessel was waking to watch. Inside the pod, the dark silhouette began to shift. For one terrifying moment, Ethan thought it was alive, but then he saw the truth. It wasn't a person. It was armor. A massive alien exosuit floated in suspension, sleek and terrifying in design. Its edges shimmered with faint energy, like a weapon waiting to be used. The ship's voice whispered inside Ethan's mind. The last command, the last weapon of the Eternal Fleet. Before Ethan could move closer, a distant explosion rocked the hangar. The floor trembled beneath their feet. Both men froze. Marcus cursed, "Damn it! Whoever came here brought heavy guns." Through the walls, they heard the sound of plasma fire, shouts, screams. The Guardian's roar shook the air. Intruders detected. Purge initiated. Ethan's blood ran cold. The intruders weren't just scavengers. They were organized, armed, and desperate. They wanted the warship, and whatever it carried inside. The corridor behind them suddenly filled with flashing lights as emergency panels slid open. Defense drones, ancient but still functional, emerged from the walls. Their glowing eyes locked on Ethan and Marcus. Marcus panicked. They think we're intruders too. The drones fired beams of searing light. Ethan dove behind a console, the shot scorching the wall. Sparks rained around him. Move, he shouted, grabbing Marcus's arm and pulling him down another corridor. The ship's interior seemed alive, lights shifting, walls opening and closing like a maze. It wasn't just defending itself, it was guiding them. Meanwhile, in the hangar, chaos raged. The alien intruders, a mix of mercenaries and scavengers from different species, unleashed heavy plasma cannons at the Guardian. The towering construct moved with terrifying speed, blades slicing through attackers as if they were paper. One alien screamed as the Guardian crushed him under its massive hand. Another tried to run, only to be skewered through the chest. Still, the intruders pressed forward, desperate to reach the warship. "Keep firing," their leader barked. "We need the relic. That ship belongs to us now." But the Guardian would not allow it. "This vessel shall not fall to thieves." Purge until silence. Bodies fell. The hangar floor burned with fire. Inside the ship, Ethan and Marcus stumbled into another chamber. A command room lined with alien consoles and a central chair carved of black steel. Strange symbols glowed across the walls, showing star maps Ethan didn't recognize. The ship's voice echoed again. "The intruders approach. The galaxy must not claim what I guard. Human, take the burden." Ethan stared at the exosuit still glowing inside the stasis chamber. His stomach tightened. Was the ship asking him to wear it? Marcus grabbed his shoulder. "No, Ethan. Don't you see? This isn't some treasure. It's a curse. Everyone who comes near it dies. That Guardian is proof of it." But the ship pressed harder into Ethan's thoughts. "Without a bearer, all will fall. Without you, the war returns." Ethan trembled. He was no soldier, no hero, just a mechanic who fixed broken ships. How could he carry the burden of an ancient war? And yet, part of him already knew the answer. The sound of footsteps echoed down the corridor. The intruders had broken past the Guardian. Several armored aliens stormed into the chamber, weapons raised. "There!" one of them shouted. "Kill the humans!" "Take the relic." Marcus froze. "Oh no!" Blaster fire lit the chamber. Ethan ducked behind the console. He had no weapon, no way to fight. The intruders pressed forward, their eyes on the stasis chamber and the armor inside, and then the ship roared. "Only the chosen may claim it." The exosuit pulsed with light, reacting to Ethan's presence. Energy surged from the pod, knocking the intruders back with a wave of force. Their weapons flew from their hands, clattering to the floor. Ethan stared at the glowing armor, his heart pounding. The ship wasn't protecting itself anymore. It was calling him. The aliens scrambled back to their feet. Their leader bared his teeth. "He's activating it. Stop him before it bonds." Dozens of blaster barrels aimed straight at Ethan. Marcus screamed. "Ethan, what are you waiting for? Put it on or we're dead." Ethan hesitated only a second longer. Then he ran to the pod, pressing his hand against the armor. The chamber erupted with light. The exosuit unfolded like wings, pieces detaching and wrapping around his body with perfect precision. His arms, his chest, his legs, all locked into place as alien steel fused with human flesh. Energy surged through him, hot and electric. His vision exploded with new symbols, alien HUDs glowing across his eyes. The suit whispered inside his mind. Bearer recognized. "System online." Ethan gasped, his body trembling with power. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just a scavenger. He was something more, something the galaxy had forgotten. The intruders stared in horror. No, it bonded. It chose him. The Guardian's roar thundered from outside, shaking the walls. Ethan clenched his fists. Energy crackled across his armor. He looked at the intruders and for the first time didn't feel fear. He felt wrath. The alien exosuit locked around Ethan's body piece by piece until he was no longer a scavenger but a warrior. Power surged through his veins like fire. His vision filled with alien symbols that somehow made sense. Weapons he had never touched before responded as if they were part of him. The intruders froze, staring in horror. Their leader shouted, "No!" The relic chose him. "Kill him before the bond completes." Blaster fire filled the chamber. But Ethan didn't move out of fear. He moved with instinct. The armor reacted faster than thought. A shield of blue energy shimmered around him, deflecting the blasts like raindrops. His arm rose and the suit released a wave of plasma that sent the attackers flying. Marcus gaped in disbelief. "Ethan, you're controlling it." Ethan's voice came out deeper, fused with the alien system. "No, it's controlling me. We're one." Outside, the hangar was chaos. The Guardian tore through the intruders, its blades cutting them down like paper. But more ships landed outside the asteroid, spilling reinforcements into the battlefield. The intruders weren't giving up. For them, the warship was worth dying for. The Guardian roared, "You shall not have it." Its eyes flickered red as it slaughtered wave after wave. But even the great machine was slowing. For centuries it had fought intruders, never resting. Its armor cracked, sparks spilling from its joints, and then it saw Ethan. The Guardian froze, its blazing eyes locking onto him inside the ship. The burden has passed. The construct dropped to one knee, bowing its massive head. For the first time, it did not look terrifying. It looked relieved. Ethan stared in shock. The Guardian, the monster that had almost killed him, was acknowledging him as master. "Wait," Marcus whispered. "It's obeying you now." Ethan didn't answer. He didn't feel like a master. He felt like a man standing at the edge of something far too big. Suddenly, the warship itself spoke inside his mind. "The armor is only the key. The true secret lies deeper." Ethan's chest tightened. He had thought the suit was the relic, but now he realized it was just the beginning. The ship's lights flared, and the floor panels split apart, revealing a sealed chamber beneath the command room. Inside, vast containers pulsed with dark energy. Each one radiated power so intense that Ethan's new armor trembled. Marcus staggered back, covering his face. "What the hell is that?" Ethan's stomach twisted. He knew the answer before the ship even said it. The Eternal Fleet's final weapon, a plague of machines, designed to erase civilizations. Marcus's voice broke with terror. That's what it was guarding. Not the armor, not the ship. The containers hissed, steam pouring from their edges. Inside them, Ethan saw shapes move, small insect-like machines with razor limbs. Millions of them sleeping, waiting. His heart froze. One container could wipe out an entire planet. This was the terrifying truth. The ship wasn't protecting a treasure. It was a prison. A cage holding a nightmare. The Guardian's voice shook the air again, weaker now. "For 10,000 years I held them here. I failed too many times. Intruders came. I killed them. Again and again. But now, it is your burden." The floor shook as another explosion thundered outside. The intruders were breaking through. Marcus screamed, "If they get in here, Ethan, the galaxy is finished." Ethan looked at the containers, the swarm sleeping inside, and the armor glowing around him. The ship whispered, "Only you can command them. Only you can decide." His hands trembled. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a leader. But now, the fate of countless worlds sat on his shoulders. The intruders stormed into the chamber. Dozens of them, weapons raised, eyes burning with greed. Their leader pointed at the containers. "Take them. With this power, we rule the galaxy." Ethan felt something shift inside him. He could feel the swarm, like millions of cold eyes waiting for his command. The armor linked him to the ship, and the ship linked him to the weapon. He raised his hand. Energy crackled across his suit. "Stand down," Ethan growled, his voice echoing like thunder. The intruders laughed and opened fire. Ethan clenched his fist. The containers split open. A storm of metal insects poured out, their blades flashing, their wings screaming like death. The swarm ripped through the intruders in seconds, tearing their weapons apart, tearing them apart. The chamber filled with screams and fire as the swarm obeyed Ethan's command without hesitation. Marcus stumbled back in horror. "Ethan, you're controlling them. You've become..." Ethan's voice was hollow. "I didn't want this." The swarm hovered, silent now, waiting for his next order. The intruders were gone. The Guardian stood motionless, its eyes dimming. "The burden is yours now," it said one last time, before collapsing into silence. The hangar was quiet again. Smoke drifted in the air. The swarm circled Ethan like shadows, bound to his will. Marcus stared at him, terrified. "What are you going to do with them?" he asked, voice shaking. Ethan looked at the endless swarm, then at the dead Guardian, then at the broken warship. His chest was heavy. "I don't know," he whispered. "But if the galaxy finds out, it will never be the same." The ship's voice echoed one final time. "Rise, bearer. The war is not over. It only sleeps." And as Ethan stood in the ruins of Hangar 17B, with a swarm of nightmares waiting at his command, he realized the truth. The $1 hangar was never a bargain. It was the most expensive choice of his life because now, the galaxy belonged to him.